Good afternoon, dear students. Now, during previous lectures, we started with the switching and protective devices, and we were discussing about the meaning, introductory part. There are different types, classification of various switching and protective devices. As far as the switching and protective devices are concerned, the list is huge. And the mostly used switching and protective devices in power stations we will be discussing upon. The next in the category and in the list is a circuit breaker itself. The miniature circuit breaker, the earth leakage circuit breaker and molded cage circuit breaker we have already discussed in the last lecture. Now let us see, when we talk about a high voltage power system, the circuit breakers which are used in electrical power system, how they are, how they work, and what are their various categories or classifications of these high voltage circuit breakers. Now coming to circuit breaker, we will start again with the basic definition. Now it is nothing but a electromechanical switch. So during normal course of operation, this switch carries a normal amount of current and there is no need of tripping on or tripping off. But when the fault is arising on the system, the current which is flowing through the circuit breaker exceeds, and with the conjunction of relay, it senses a fault, it gives a signal to the circuit breaker, and then circuit breaker opens the contacts. Thus the faulty part of the system is getting isolated from the rest of the healthy system. So it is very important to discuss in detail about the circuit breaker. We will see this now. So as far as technical definition is concerned, a circuit breaker is a piece of equipment which can make or break a circuit either manually or by remote control under normal conditions, just like any other switch. Break a circuit automatically under faulty conditions. This is the main function of a circuit breaker. Make a circuit either manually or by remote control under fault conditions. This is again important. The same function it has to perform after the removal of the fault. So thus a circuit breaker incorporates both automatic as well as manual control, or you can say control for switching functions. Now let us discuss about the operating principle of the circuit breaker. Here you can see the basic circuit diagram along with the relay. Now here we have a bus bar. This is a circuit breaker which is connected in this circuit which is to be protected. It incorporates the corresponding trip circuit, relay contacts, coil of the relay, CT. Now say during normal course of operation, this CT primary is carrying full load current and thus the CT secondary current is normal. Hence the corresponding contacts are open. Thus the battery supply is not reaching to the trip coil of the circuit breaker. Hence this trip coil of the circuit breaker is unenergized. Hence the circuit breaker contacts are remain in a closed position. I repeat, remain in a closed position. But when there is a fault on the system, what happens? The excessive amount of current flows through the CT coil, which will now energizes the relay coil. This relay coil, what will happen? When the relay coil gets energized, the relay contact gets pulled down, thus closing of these two contacts. Now the battery circuit is completed, giving supply to the trip coil of the circuit breaker. Now this trip coil is getting energized and hence it pull the plunger out of the circuit breaker contacts. So when this plunger is coming out of the circuit breaker contacts, the contacts of the circuit breaker are getting open. Thus this faulty part of the system gets isolated or disconnected from rest of the healthy system. This is how actually the operation of the circuit breaker took place. Now the phenomenon of the formation of arc, called as a arc phenomenon. Now when there is a separation of contact taking place in between the circuit breaker, what happens? The arc is stuck between these two contacts. So there is a formation of the arc between the fixed contact and a moving contact. So this arc is important. And now how this arc is getting extinguished in the circuit breaker, depending on that there are various types of circuit breakers. Like if the arc is naturally extinguished with the use of natural air only, it is called as air circuit breaker. If the vacuum pressure is used to extinguish the arc, it is called as a vacuum circuit breaker. Then if oil is used as an arc quenching medium, then oil circuit breaker. If SF6 gas is used to quench the arc, then SF6 circuit breaker. So these are the four basic types of circuit breakers which are categorized as per the medium of arc extinction used. Now formation of arc need to be controlled, otherwise the contacts of the circuit breaker will get damaged. So here we have the next topic. How does the arc will remain in those contacts? This is again important to discuss because the time of arc will decide the temperature getting circulated or formed inside the circuit breaker. So it is very important to discuss the phenomenon of the arc formation. Now the arc resistance, if it is more, lesser time of the arc, the intensity of arc will be less. But this arc resistance depend on several factors related to arc. Those factors are degree of ionization. As the arc resistance increases with the decrease in the number of ionized particles between the contacts. That means degree of ionization. If the ionization is less, resistance will get increased and hence the arc is lesser. Length of the arc. If the length of arc is more will be the resistance and lesser will be the arc current. Cross section of the arc. The arc resistance increases with the decrease in the area of cross section of the arc. So these 3 points are very important as far as the arc extinction theory is concerned. Next topic. Now the terms which are important in relation with the arc. Let us have a look over this graph. Here you are seeing the basic system voltage waveform, fault current waveform, then two different terms called restriking voltage and recovery voltage. Let us discuss them in detail. The first definition which is related to this arc phenomenon is the arc voltage itself. It is the voltage that appears across the contacts of the circuit breaker during arcing period. That means when the arc is formed between these two contacts, these two contacts are having a potential difference between them. So this potential difference is having certain voltage across these two, so called as a arc voltage. The second is a restriking voltage. It is the transient voltage that appears across the contacts or near current zero during arcing period. Here itself you can see this is a restriking voltage, a transient phenomenon which is appearing very that means I can say right from the beginning of the arc till it gets settled down. Now third is a recovery voltage. It is the normal frequency RMS voltage that appears across the contacts of the circuit breaker after final arc extinction. It is approximately equals to system voltage. So when the arc getting extinguished, normal system voltage is recovered or restored between the contacts. This is called as a recovery voltage. Now rated voltage, rated insulation level, rated frequency, rated normal current, rated short circuit breaking current. These are the basic important criteria of the circuit breaker, which we have already seen during the discussion of the miniature circuit breaker theory. Now, as far as the construction of the circuit breaker is concerned, so construction of circuit breaker is basically have these main important parts: poles with interrupter, porcelain support, arc quenching medium in a house, then operating mechanism, either manual control or automatic control, then support structure on which the complete circuit breaker has to be installed, and a control cabinet may be remotely installed. So this is the main essential elements of any circuit breaker for effective operation. As I discussed earlier, depending on the arc quenching medium, the types of circuit breakers are being classified. Miniature circuit breaker we have already discussed in the previous lecture, a smaller version of the high voltage circuit breaker. Then air circuit breaker, wherein the natural air or forced air is used as a arc quenching medium. Then as an oil circuit breaker, in terms of quantity of oil, either minimum oil or bulk oil circuit breakers to quench the arc. Then air blast, as I said earlier, that either a natural air phenomenon or forced air phenomenon. Then sulfur hexafluoride or SF6 circuit breaker, wherein SF6 gas is used as a arc quenching medium. Then vacuum circuit breaker, high pressure or vacuum is used as a arc quenching medium. So these are the main types of the circuit breakers. Have a look over the various ratings of the circuit breakers: voltage, current, protection class, rated frequency, number of poles, maybe single pole or 3 pole. If it is a low voltage circuit breaker, it is definitely 1 pole or 3 pole. But if it is a high voltage circuit breaker, definitely 3 pole circuit breaker. Then rated breaking current in terms of kiloamperes, ambient temperature, connecting conductor, size of the conductor required. Then electrical endurance, that means the operating cycle, you can say operating time, for how much duration the circuit breaker can work effectively, that is the electrical endurance. Then mechanical endurance means mechanical wear and tear, since moving parts are also incorporated in a circuit breaker, so definitely certain wear and tear will always be happening in the circuit breaker. So as far as electrical endurance is considered, likewise the mechanical endurance is also there. You can see here 50,000 and 1 lakh, that means if we consider the electrical endurance, it is half as compared to the mechanical endurance. So their mechanical is stronger. Now discuss about the various types of the circuit breaker. Let us start with the air circuit breaker. As I said earlier, that natural air or the forced air is used to quench the arc, hence the circuit breaker is called as a air circuit breaker, or in short it is called as a ACB. Now why the air is used as a medium of arc extinction? Why not the other, hydrogen or oil? So the merits are elimination of fire hazards. There is no fire catching phenomenon will occur if air is used. Elimination of maintenance due to presence of oil, as in case of oil circuit breakers, definitely, since the oil immersed transformers or oil immersed circuit breakers needs periodic maintenance, because the chemical properties of the oil as well as electrical properties of the oil gets deteriorate as the time goes on. They need to be replaced, and that replacement of the oil is costly. Again, along with that, there are other several parts of those circuit breakers which need to be replaced. Like in the two-wheeler, when we change oil seal has to be replaced. Otherwise, there is no meaning in changing the oil. Whenever you go to your showroom and ask them or request them to change the oil, that is the lubrication oil I am talking about, what they do, they simply change the oil. Along with that, they insist you to change the gaskets of the same also, so that the proper leak proof mechanism can be restored. Like the same is there in case of oil circuit breakers. So cheaper as compared to OCB, because of no top up of oil is required. So no change of oil, so no costing, hence cheaper compared to other types of circuit breakers. Absence of heavy pressure due to movement of gas and oil, like in the vacuum circuit breaker, SF6 circuit breaker, oil circuit breaker, the pressure is quite less. So these are the advantages of air circuit breaker compared to other circuit breakers. Have a look over these two. Now let us see. This is the corresponding structure of the air circuit breaker when the contacts are closed, and this is when the contacts are open. So here we have basically the moving contact. Here we have the fixed contacts, the main contacts. Okay, so when what happens during the normal course of operation, fixed contacts and moving contact, they are in contact with each other, making the circuit. But when the fault occurs, this fixed contacts remain there, but moving contact gets separated from the fixed contact, thus opening of the circuit. Hence there is a opening of the circuit, but while opening of the circuit, an arc is stuck between them. This arc is then elongated with the use of arc shoots here. These are the arc shoots which are there to eliminate or to distinguish the arc being formed while the separation of the contact takes place. Next is a vacuum circuit breaker. Now here vacuum is used as a arc quenching medium. It offers the highest insulating strength, so it is always used in the circuit breakers. These type of circuit breakers basically seen in the electrical locomotives in railways. At the top you might have seen these air circuit breakers and vacuum circuit breakers. Here is a diagram. Here are the two contacts. This is a fixed contact, this is a moving contact, and the complete assembly is vacuum tight. So when there is a fault, this corresponding movable chamber gets separated from the fixed contact, and thus arc is stuck in between fixed contact and moving contact. So when the arc is formed, immediately by the presence of the vacuum in this, it is getting quenched or distinguished. And then again the pressure is maintained by using a compressor. So it has to be maintained, otherwise there will be no effective operation of the circuit breaker. So as far as the advantages of vacuum circuit breakers are concerned, they are compact, reliable and have longer life. There are no fire hazards. There is no generation of gas during and after the operation. They can interrupt any fault current. They require little maintenance and are quiet in operation since the presence of vacuum is there, so no noise is there. They can successfully withstand lightning surges. They have low arc energy. This is again important, so that the power lost in is less. They have low inertia and hence require smaller power for control mechanism. Applications ranging from 22 kV to 66 kV, 60 to 100 MVA braking capacity, and in basically rural areas or locomotives. Then comes next the sulfur hexafluoride or SF6 circuit breakers. It's an inert gas, and that is why it is commonly used in the circuit breakers. It is an electronegative gas, it is a inert gas and has a strong tendency to absorb those free electrons. Here we have a look over the construction of the SF6 circuit breaker. This is a fixed contact, movable contact. When these contacts are getting separated, SF6 gas is getting inserted in between the separation. Thus, the arc formed here is quenched immediately with the inception of this SF6 gas. There is a separate chamber in which the SF6 gas is stored, and after every operation of the circuit breaker, the inside pressure of SF6 gas has to be maintained. So this will help you, the compressor will help you out in maintaining the required amount of pressure inside the chamber. Here are the advantages of the same. Short arcing time means the operating time is very less and arc is getting quenched immediately. High dielectric strength, 2 to 3 times that of air, can interrupt much larger current, so can be used for heavy currents also. Gives noiseless operation, no moisture problem, there is no risk of fire in such breakers, such as because the SF6 gas is a non-inflammable, or you can say non-flammable. There are no carbon deposits, so that tracking and insulation problems are eliminated. The contacts remain protected. The SF6 breakers have low maintenance cost, light foundation requirement and minimum auxiliary requirement. Since they are totally enclosed and sealed from atmosphere, they are particularly suitable where explosion hazards exist, like the coal mines, where due precautions to be taken. So there you can install these SF6 circuit breakers. Disadvantage: it is a costlier affair compared to air circuit breaker and vacuum circuit breaker. The respective cost of the SF6 circuit breaker is very high. SF6 gas has to be reconditioned after every operation of the breaker, hence additional equipment is required. As I said earlier, after every operation the pressure inside the chamber has to be maintained, and for that separate compressor has to be installed, so hence the cost is more. 50 to 80 kV range, 10 MVA to 20 MVA interrupting capacity. So these are the applications. Now next comes the dropout fuse, or you can say DO fuse. This is very cheapest one which is installed at the distribution pole in your locality. So basically it is of low rating and available as per the current rating, 100 amperes, 200 amperes, 150 amperes, like that. So why this is called as a dropout fuse? Very funny but very fruitful name, dropout. Suppose you are having a pipe. Say for a moment you are having a pipe and there is a thread which is coming through the pipe. You are holding two ends of the thread and the pipe is over the thread. Say for a moment you are stretching that thread and immediately that thread broke down. What will happen? That pipe will fall down on the ground. This is the basic working principle of a DO fuse. So this DO fuse consists of a tube, and this tube is connected at two ends of the circuit, like the incoming circuit and the outgoing circuit. So this tube consists of a wire called as a fuse wire. This is enclosed. So when the fuse melts or blows out, this tube falls down on the ground, and that is the reason why it is called as a dropout fuse. This is an elaborated view of a DO fuse. This is the cartridge in which the fuse element is there. This portion is movable, that means it can be detached from here, and this is fixed, and these are for the arc quenching, the insulator. They are available in the form of corresponding current rating with respect to voltage levels. So if it is a 200 kVA transformer, hardly 20 ampere fuse is required. Look at this, how they are actually. This silver coated wire is fuse element, whereas this is a carrier. This is a tube. This tube actually falls down on the ground after the operation of DO fuse. Then air brake switch, normal isolator you can say. This is also called as AB switch, cut out, and this is installed at the very top of the distribution pole. Maybe a single operated or a gang operated. When there are multiple number of installations are there, means 3 different switches are installed, they have to be operated simultaneously. So they are connected with a common rod, and that is why they are called as a gang operated AB switch. Then contactors, basically a electrically controlled switch used for switching a power circuit, similar to a relay except with higher current ratings. Contactor simply makes or breaks the contact. It is controlled by some electrical coil. It is a relay that is used for switching power. They usually handle very heavy loads like electric motor, lighting and heating equipments and so on. Though their output is used for switching very high loads, they are controlled by a circuit with very less power. According to the loads, they handle the load according to the corresponding power, and they are variety in sizes. like this. This is a simple contactor. This is a coil which will be required to be energized. Once the coil gets energized, they will pull down the plunger, closing all the contacts A, B and C likewise. This is how the corresponding contactor is there. This is open, de-energized. Now see these two contacts fixed. This is fixed and movable contact. They are having air gap in between. So when the coil gets a current, what happens? This is what the coil, when gets energized, it attracts the plunger and then the contact gets closed. So when the contact gets closed, see here, previously they were open, so incomer and outgoing circuit, they are disconnected. So when the plunger gets pulled in, this contacts are connected to each other. Now the incoming line and the outgoing line, they are connected, feeding the load. So this is about the operation of the contactor. Now they are the contactors which are categorized as per the International Electrotechnical Commission, that is IEC. So there are AC1, AC2, AC3 and AC4 for AC contactors, and there are DC contactors also which are categorized as per DC13, and their use is also given here. You can have a look over the corresponding category along with their field of application. Just go through it. So that's all for today. Thank you very much. Happy learning and see you next time. Thank you all.